such as the wall painting. Anything anybody has questions on that I could answer?
Michelle, are you happy with WaterQuest overall?
I am. I will disclaim that I personally use them. And, you know, they come, they do what they see they need to do, and they leave. There have been people who have told me we need to do X, Y, Z, and I just call them and usually they'll take care of it.
And we saved about $2,000
Yes.
annually by using them as opposed to LECO, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Now, we haven't gotten the cost for the most recent yuccas, the 2 yuccas that they actually, I think, brought in a bobcat for. But I don't think they're going to charge us more than their hourly rate, which is about $100, because those yuccas are really heavy and difficult to remove.
Yeah, I think they told me they weigh between 600 and 800 pounds because they're mostly filled with water. So that's not really something that we can take care of. When the last one on the median fell, I took a heavy duty rope and I got it around the end of the tree and leaned in and was able to drag the end, so at least it ended up parallel with the median instead of crossing most of the road. And I couldn't imagine removing that myself with anything I got at the house. So I will say I don't use WaterQuest personally, so I'll give my more separated opinion on them. I think that they do good work when they come through. They've been, the work tends to be more delayed than if we were with LECO, because LECO had us scheduled weekly and we paid for that. So the leaves that blew down right after that last snowstorm are still outside on my street right now. And I think that we forewent the leaf pickup because we put a higher priority on the yuccas, which really needed to be removed for safety. And Michelle, so I think that last WaterQuest charge was for, I think that was for the removal of the palm yuccas, because I heard leaf blowers blowing, but I think that it was one of my neighbors and all the leaves were still out on the road afterwards.
Well, it was a trade-off. We knew that going into it, every 2 weeks versus weekly. And that's compared to nothing. So, you know, we have to look at, is $2,000. I mean, we could always go up to weekly on certain months with them if people were upset with the amount of leaves around. That's a possibility, but again, that will add to cost.
Yeah.
So I'm open to anything. I'm just the emailer, to be quite honest.
Yeah. I have not seen any email complaints. Does anybody here on the line have any comments on WaterQuest? Ken, I see you talking, but you're muted.
All you have to do is move. Push what?
Oh,
Huh?
I think Ken, oh, there you are.
Alex,
Yeah.
Mike Creedon here. I was talking to one of the neighbors and they asked me if we could bring this up in the meeting. There's at the corner of Antelope Run and Caribou, there's a street light. It's got this cactus growing up beside it. And they were asking if we could ask the landscapers to take it out.
That's the intersection of Antelope Run and Caribou?
Correct.
On that southwest corner?
It's on the southwest corner.
Okay.
So the cactus is on common ground, Alex? It's on common ground? It's not in anybody's property, right?
No, it's not on property. It's in the median.
It's in the median, okay.
Yeah.
It's on that strip between the road and the sidewalk, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Correct.
Now, those are kind of an interesting strip of land. Actually, technically, the homeowner owns all the way to the street, but the city has a variance that allows the sidewalk to pass through where it does. And so we were all responsible for that little strip between the sidewalk and the road. So that's technically the homeowner's property there. But I don't see any problem with asking if they wouldn't mind if we had the landscaper take care of it.
Well, the homeowner has actually done a little work on our yard, and it's been years since there was anything done.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right. I know a little bit about that house, and I think that we can approach them and ask if we can take it out.
Okay.
It's primarily just a visual thing. It's not a safety issue, is it?
Well, it's thorny. Some kid falls into it, they're gonna get cut up.
Yeah, I pulled a cactus spine out of my thumb this morning just doing some landscaping. So, yeah. All right, Mike, we'll see what we
In
can do
that
about
same
that.
area, I have a question. Right across the street from that, there is a bush that had one of those low-lying junipers. The whole thing has just died.
Yes.
Okay.
Alex, can you hear Ken now?
Oh, hi, Ken. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, good. One question, maybe a couple questions. Will the yuccas be replaced with anything?
That's a great question. I'd like to have feedback on that.
Because the reason I'm asking, I do have a source for yuccas. We found a little place on 4th Street that may work for us. I don't know what the cost would be, but it's something to look into, and I can do that if you'd like.
Yeah, sure. I would like that. I priced them myself at the Osuna Nursery, and they had a somewhat of a mature one. I guess it was 3 or 4 years old and ready to be planted. Cost $500.
500?
Yeah. And if you go, they're not native to this area, but they are native to southern New Mexico and Texas. If you go down that area, you can buy them for like $5 a piece.
Well, the gentleman that we saw these at, he comes from Texas. He shops down there, brings the plants up here.
Oh,
So
great.
could be the same thing.
Yeah, I would like to replace them. Ken, before your time, there were at least 4 of them on the median. And there were about 4, I think, where our lit up entryway sign is, and a few
Yes.
more. So we've lost a number of them over the years. And I don't think that the person who objected is even in the neighborhood anymore, but I asked the same question about replacing them in the past, and they said no, their preference would be not. But I like them. I think they're really attractive.
Yeah.
And if we can get a reasonable price, I'd propose that we move forward with at least replacing some of them.
I'll see
Are
what
there
I
any
can do for you.
objections?
I can go
There
get,
is a shrubbery, a low line on the west side of our entrance that is dead also in front, just right in front of the sign. A lot of, I think our shrubbery landscaping has maybe come to the end of its lifespan.
Mhm.
That's
Now
right.
that one I think just needs to be taken out. It's right in front of the sign. It doesn't need to be replaced in my estimation.
Eddie, I agree with you. I talked with the WaterQuest gentleman, and pretty much he cannot take it down and get rid of that dead part without pretty much taking out the whole plant, as you stated. And to me, if you're in a normal car, you cannot see our sign with that one that's in front of there. So I
The one
think
that's dead. Yeah, it's all dead now. It used to be partially green, but now it's just all dead.
so that could be added.
Michelle, did you say how much we had in our cash account?
Hold on a sec. Let me mute.
Whatever else we might have in mind.
I agree. I would love for us to add a landscaping quote committee or just someone. To be honest, being treasurer and trying to keep an eye out I don't know, I just fell into it because I happen to use WaterQuest. I mean, I'm not home a lot of the time to even, walk by this stuff. And, I have to say, being the owner of a very large tree, my front lawn, I kind of get used to leaves. So I don't notice these things like some others might. So I agree. We need some planning.
So what we came up with is removing leaves, removing dead vegetation, and replacing dead vegetation, painting the walls. Right? Those are all things that people might want to get done. So like Dean said, in what order? What's the priority for that? And probably need some estimates on what each would cost as well.
We were saving for the long wall along Academy, and the last time we got a cost estimate for that, it was $6,000 or $7,000, and it was more than we had. When WaterQuest, before WaterQuest, LECO was our entire budget, minus just a little bit more, and we were running a deficit year over year. We raised the dues, people have stepped up, and we reduced our costs. So we're getting to the point where we can get a more targeted budget. I think that's a great idea. I want to table that discussion for right now, though, because I'm not sure if I'm going to lose the Zoom meeting at 2:30 or 2:40.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to have to set up another one if I do, which I'll try and set up for 3 o'clock. I'll just email blast it out to everybody that I can't pass out the flyers. So anyways, maybe we I'll set up a second meeting that'll be just dedicated to landscaping. Does that sound good for everyone?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, great. Because I think this is our number one thing right now is landscaping and appearance of the neighborhood, right? That's the primary goal of our funds.
Yes.
And so we're getting to the point now where we can do more than just the weekly leaf pickup. No.
Bi-weekly.
Okay, great. So let's see. Michelle mentioned that our solar lights walked off. We had our lights repaired on the electrical lights on the east side, but on the west side, we had solar panels. They lasted from January through about May, and then somebody stole the solar panel. So the lights are there, but they cut the wires and they took the panel, and I don't really understand that. But do people want to see I kind of see three options here. Don't do anything, put up another temporary solar light that's almost certain to get stolen again, try it one more time and then call it quits. Or we could get into a routine where we put $20 into it, maybe every month or every 3 months, however long it takes to get stolen. What do people think about replacing it?
Alex, what is the issue with not getting electricity on the west side?
We had that evaluated, and it appears that the electricity either came from a huge 440 amp that goes to the street lights, and it was wired, what they thought was for a fountain. And I don't know anything about a fountain ever having been there or planned for there, but they said it looked like it was wired for a fountain. The electricity for the other side comes from what used to be the sales property when this real estate neighborhood got started. And so they wired it to the sales office, and that home still has that electricity. And so we were paying them about $100 a month, or sorry, $100 a year for the electricity for the lights before we put in LED lights. That reduced the cost to about $10 a year. And so that's kind of a separate topic, but we've just been paying that about once a year to that homeowner. And in other years, he forwent it in exchange for being unable to pay dues. By the way, that home last year paid dues. Their financial situation's turning around, and everybody complains about that yard, and their hope was to keep it mowed. And if you look right now, it's mowed. It doesn't look too bad, but it goes through cycles, and then eventually they mow it again, which is an improvement over what it used to be a little while ago. But prior to that, they had palm yuccas there that somebody set on fire, which then set up their pine trees on fire. They had a landscaping mishap when they were out of the country for 3 months. they came back and their lawn was destroyed. And so now we're seeing the aftermath of that. So they're managing it, but they would like to replace the yard when they can, and they still haven't. So that's the briefest of updates there. I've got a solar light that I bought to put on the street, and I was going to try and mount it to the signpost up high where it'd be harder to steal. So I'm inclined to put that one on, and if it gets stolen, we can talk about it again, but I thought I would just leave it up for now. I haven't put it up yet, but I want to run a bolt through it with a theft-proof nut. So once I get that, you might see it, if I can get it lined up from that stop sign onto the street sign, our neighborhood sign, I'll do that.
Alex, do you need any help with that?
If you got a security nut, and I can't remember how long the bolt is, maybe I got to run it through the light itself. So it's going to be like 4 or 5 inches long bolt. But yeah, Mark, I'll get you when we're ready to do that.
Yeah, let me contact me. Maybe we can work it out.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Alex, I can help you out with that also.
Yeah. Okay, great. Thanks, Ken. Hey, I want to share this presentation from Titan now. And just so I know a lot of people haven't seen this. Is it coming through?
Yes.
Yes.
If you want to maximize that on your screen, it might come through better.
Hey, Alex, question.
Yeah.
All I'm seeing is myself. I don't see anybody else.
Oh, okay. That must have something to do with the setting on your Zoom.
Yeah, gallery view. He has to go to like a gallery view, right?
This is the first time I'm using it. I'm oblivious to any operation of it. I'll just listen in and look at myself.
Okay, Ken, sorry about that. I will share this material. Are people seeing the neighborhood image?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
great. All right, so we're down in the lower left corner, Tramway and Tennyson there. The apartments are going to go in at the end of Tennyson, and that's going to be the entrance to what's marked as the site there. They're going to put in, I think it's 185 units, no, sorry, 281 units, which is half of what it's actually zoned for. And that is in effectively a water wash area right now. And there has been some prior mitigation for flood control. John Wilson is actually somebody who does this professionally, and he's taken a look at the site, and he and I met with the developers, and it seemed to me that they put John's concerns to rest, and they're going to build on that site. They have they just have to follow through with all the bureaucratic stuff to make sure that they can do the building, at which point the property will transfer to them and they'll start the construction. It'll finish about 2 years later. And it will not go through to the other side. So the only entrance will be on Tennyson on our side. And there'll be emergency vehicle only access from the San Antonio side. They are going to leave a walk around area along the right-hand side along Tramway. So if you currently walk that area, you can still walk the dam and go all the way around the site and come back onto Tennyson. It's going to be high-end apartments. They're targeting kind of like the upper class of people who don't want to buy a home. And they have a number of these properties around Albuquerque and in other states right now. And so this is going to add to their portfolio of this. So real briefly, it's going to be family-style homes. They're targeting professionals who are either single, married, or have children. And so it's going to look a lot like the Allegro apartments that are already there. It's not going to be any really different in nature or character, either clientele or quality of property. I think that was their bottom line. They want to add to the neighborhoods that they work in. And one of the owners still lives nearby and used this area as his running grounds growing up. So he feels good about it, that he's not just making a buck off the area. He wants to make it a nice, beautiful, livable place. I don't think we have any say about it. Like legally, I think we have no standing to stop anything like this. So to have any sort of a neighbor, I'm glad it's this neighbor and not some of the other developments that have tried to go in over the years. One was a nursing home and it's just a flat design. They couldn't build on the slope, so they pulled out. and the property's changed hands over the years. So I think I want to say that I'll be happy with this if this is the one that goes through.
Alex, isn't
They
there
did,
a public park? Aren't they planning a small public park area associated with the site? Did you hear
yeah, I think they are, but I think it's intended to just be a small area for people already walking. It'll have a little bit of bench space. So
Okay.
it's not, kind of a dog walk area, but it'll be their property, but it'll be open to the public along the area that they're keeping open for the public to walk through the edge of the property. They did a traffic study as well, and they went to 70 cars an hour during rush hour. That was what the traffic study said, and that's double what it is right now. I'll say that I use that exit a lot, especially in the mornings. I never can't get through with the very first light change, and often I'm the only car there. So from a traffic standpoint, I don't think there's any real impact. We did ask them for a traffic calming measure to be installed, though, at the entrance of Albertsons, either a full stop sign on southbound only, or to make an extra wide median there where like a family with a stroller and a dog can stop safely in the median before a car comes whipping around the corner. Because that is the way that other traffic goes right now. It's not safe to cross from Albertsons back to our side without keeping an eye on who's coming around the curve. And so with even more vehicles trying to hit that green light if they see it, I'd like a traffic calming mitigation there. So we asked for that. They're putting it forth to the city, the city traffic engineer for evaluation, and we expect to get something there. Let's see, as far
Alex?
as crime
Alex?
goes, I think
This is
Yeah,
Sylvia. Any discussion about the lighting? Are they going to have any mitigation on the lights? Like when we had some influence with Albertsons, they had they lowered the parking lights and made sure that they just shined down onto the parking lot and didn't mess up the night sky. Did you hear anything like that?
Yes, that was another request we had, was to make sure that they had took care of light pollution. And North Albuquerque Acres brought that up already before we talked about it. So they already had a plan. And so we talked about things like putting light blocking dead end features, either landscaping or, the garbage dumpster or whatever, so that the traffic driving through the parking lot doesn't shine out across the dam. And then they'll also have baffles on the lights and make sure that they're not, adding undue light pollution.
Great, thank you.
Sure. Anything else on that? Okay, let's see. We have anything else new on the Architectural Control Committee, Mark?
Not really anything new. A couple of times a year, neighbors submit a request to make significant changes. Room additions, patio covers, or major landscaping changes in the front of the home. So I'm still getting a few of those each year. I'm very impressed with our neighbors in general who are requesting quality changes that are good for our neighborhood. It hasn't been I haven't come upon anything where I go, oh, I don't know if we should approve something like that. It's the opposite. It's like, wow, that's really nice. They're investing significant money and making some quality changes to their homes that are beneficial. And we have more neighbors putting on solar panels as well. So those are the things that I've run into with the ACC in the last few years.
Good.
Hey, Alex,
Yeah.
Sorry?
Ken, I'm back with you. I wanted to bring up the issue with traffic again. I'm still concerned about cars coming in the wrong way.
Right.
on our east end. And the other day I was talking to a neighbor and a little car came in and he just flew by us on the street. He's someone that belongs in the neighborhood here. He's got a little black car that lives on, I believe, Ibex. And the one thing that really bothered me is he has his license plates covered also, so no one can see the license plate. But I'm really concerned about the people coming in the wrong way. And since there's no houses across from us, as you know, I think people feel that they can speed on our street. And that's an issue with me also. So I don't know how it could be addressed or what can be done about it. So I want to bring that up to the board.
Yeah. All I can do is reach out to really the people that we have email access for, short of distributing flyers throughout the entire neighborhood. So if you can find out which house that is, maybe we could just leave a targeted request to please stop doing that.
Well, there's not just that one car. There's a nice big red pickup truck that comes in the wrong way.
Yeah.
I don't know where he goes. I see him all day long. I'm retired. I'm at the house most of the time and I see it. So
Yeah. I see it too, living right there, Ken. I'll send out something. I was going to say that the things that bring the most complaints are barking dogs,
Yeah.
wrong way entrance at that intersection right there, and people's landscaping. A little bit with driveway and maintenance and sidewalk maintenance. So those are the main things. So I'll send out an email, and hopefully we'll get a little bit more email addresses with a recent request for dues and updates. And we'll see if we can get anything done about that, Ken. I don't know what else we can do. Do you have any suggestions?
I do have a suggestion, and I think Mark even brought it up a while back, is put in a spike strip.
Spike.
I'm really serious. You know, they're tough and cold. If they come in that way and they blow their tires, they're going to learn.
Yeah.
But if we have enough signage there, that's all I can say.
All right. Well, I think we lost a one-way exit sign there, or I think we lost a sign there not too long ago. So maybe I can talk to the city about getting a little more visible signage there. I don't think a spike strip will be allowed. It's still a public street. And there's something about emergency vehicle access. I know there has to be 2 egresses, but they may allow that one to be a second way in for emergency vehicles if the main entrance is blocked.
Yeah.
But I'll make a note, see if we can do anything about that. Well, I'm encouraged that we haven't been kicked off of the meeting yet. I think it's been 45 minutes, so we'll see but it's going to happen soon unless
Hey,
they
Al.
let me go.
Alex, I had a little pop-up. It said that it had been upgraded by the host for unlimited.
Oh, great. Thanks, Dean. I'm going to have to cancel it then. I think it was like $16 a month or way more than we want to pay as a neighborhood association for the year. But I guess that's how they get you.
Yeah.
I wonder if they have my
Every
credit
other
card number.
business.
But for future notice, I have an unlimited account from work, so
Would you be allowed to use it for something like this?
I think so.
Yeah. Okay. I know my work, we use Skype, and I am not allowed to use it for such things as this. So, but good to know, Dean. Okay, with that, I guess it sounds like we have a little bit more time. I was going to say the crime in the neighborhood. The one thing that I was really aware of is the theft of our solar panels. But I also got an email about a suspicious vehicle and people down at the lower end of Ibex. And I don't know if they got chased off, but they sent out some pictures of the vehicle. And but so far, honestly, I have had a lot less email about break-ins and car break-ins and mail theft this past like 18 months than ever before. Has anybody had any issues with themselves or their neighbors? Okay.
I think a lot of the the criminals know that a lot more people are at home all the time, and that may make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hopefully, the one thing will change, but not the other.
Yeah.
The only thing we have is there's some pretty strong marijuana clouds that come over towards our house in the middle of the night through our air conditioner at times.
Oh, yeah. And you don't know if that's medical or not, I guess, unless you know the person.
I'm pretty sure it's not, but I don't know that for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I smell it when I go down near my daughter's apartment near UNM. And I know it's not a skunk down there. I get forest fire smoke, or actually I have a neighbor who's, I can't complain too much. I light my grill and cook some burgers or something and the smoke comes out, but then they light their wood fire stove outside and the smoke pours over the fence and right into my swamp cooler. And so I have to run and shut it off when that happens. But it lasts an hour. I don't know if it'll set off my smoke alarms if I don't do that, but I swear it's come close at times. So,
Have you ever mentioned that to him? Maybe he'd be willing to move it to a different place. Or
yeah,
this is
I haven't actually. The last time I had an invitation to pick the cherries off the cherry tree that hung over my side, and the last time I did it, they asked me not to. So it was the husband one time and the wife the next time. So I think they just hadn't communicated. But
Mixed messages.
yeah, that's right. They trimmed back the cherry tree anyway, so they don't hang over so much anymore. But we are in a small neighborhood. There's, the landscaping that a lot of people have planted is planted way too close to the walls. It can take down the walls. Basically, the law says you own the property line from, above your property, you own that airspace as far as landscaping goes, but you're not allowed to take out a tree to the point where it kills the tree on the other side. So you can trim, you can harvest fruit, you can do that, but you just can't do it to the point where you kill the neighbor's tree. So that was an area of contention between a couple of neighbors whose branches were hitting the other person's house, and you're well within your rights to take care of that landscaping on your side of the fence. Let's see, everybody should know probably that Officer Drobick has retired from APD. So we no longer, as far as I know, have an active officer living in the neighborhood. Occasionally we'd have him park his police vehicle at a place where, usually near the entrance, just to kind of make a statement that there's officers in the neighborhood. So we don't have that luxury anymore. Let's see, I guess one more thing about the landscaping. We have, Michelle had an arborist evaluate some of the trees along the entryway. And one of the trees definitely had some bug that was, a parasitic bug living in the bark. And that can be treated. I think the treatment for a couple of trees and some trimming of pruning of the dead branches was going to cost about $750. That third tree I want to say like on the east side of the one that got taken out by the truck about a year and a half ago, that one, it looks dead. I think if they trim that, they're going to trim it down to nothing, and it's going to be an eyesore. It's going to be a trunk with nothing on it. So I'm thinking that tree ought to come out as part of the landscape maintenance. The other tree, though, maybe we have that one treated. It looks like we could just do some pruning on that one and save it. And Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, is that the one that's at the corner at Ibex and Antelope Run?
Yes.
Yeah, that southwest corner or southeast corner.
Yeah.
So I
And
think
actually, to be able to deal with the trees either through the tree doctor, the arborist who came out, or even ourselves, a big issue is water. You can't treat a tree without giving it water. Because it's a boring beetle that is causing this issue. And my guess, it wouldn't hurt us to probably treat the majority of the trees that we have because of the stress they've undergone as they've matured. And if we can use just going to Home Depot or that, there's products. If you, because to be honest, the way I did have I have a large apricot tree in my backyard taken care of by them. And I forgot, it's like having a lollipop with the head of the pop being like 3 inches in diameter, stuck every 3 inches around, and it needs to stay in there for at least 5 to 7 days until the tree actually takes up the treatment. And I guess I was just thinking, as people are doing a lot more walking because they just want to get out of the house, how secure is that setup going to be? I just knowing we lost the solar and things like that, I just worry between what someone can do, because they're only about 1 inch off the ground. You just go and you want to see what happens when you step on one. You can break it right off. So that was one of my concerns. And then water. We can't do anything without water for them.
Yeah. Now, was anybody involved with the planting of those trees?
The ones
that-
along Ibex, Alex,
Yeah,
those ashes,
right.
I was involved. Yep.
Was there a water system for them?
No,
back then?
what we did at the time is we asked all the neighbors to throw their hose over the wall that first couple of months after we planted them. And actually it wasn't me that really took the lead on it. It was a neighbor who no longer is in the neighborhood anymore. Chris Moorfield did it.
Okay,
And he made sure that those neighbors were watering the trees and kept on it. He lived right across the street from those trees, on your side of Ibex, Alex, a couple of
Yeah.
houses down from you.
okay.
Mark,
And maybe
you know
this
what's-
13
Yeah, I think where Ken lives now is where he lived. Yeah.
Okay,
What's interesting is when I walked over to the trees with the arborist, there actually looks like there are heads that come out at a number of the trees.
Which
From like
trees, Michelle? Not the ones on
system.
Ibex, right?
They were actually, well, the corner one, the ones on Antelope
Yeah,
Run.
those were put in by Centex, so they would have an irrigation.
Oh, okay.
But the ones on
gotcha.
Ibex were planted after the fact, and they don't have any irrigation to them.
Oh, okay.
Mark,
Well,
you were
that
just talking
makes,
about along Ibex.
Yeah, I was talking
Yeah, I
about.
remember
on
Betty
Ibex.
actually asked me to water the ones across from me when I moved in about, almost 2 decades ago.
Yeah, so you were part of that,
Yeah.
helping with the watering there. Hey, Sylvia, are you there? Can you hear me, Sylvia?
Yeah, Yeah.
Didn't you share with me some information about the boar beetles?
yeah. So I was concerned about ash borer beetles in our ash trees in our backyard, and I talked to Baca's trees. Their arborist told me that the borer beetle doesn't exist in New Mexico yet. Now, it maybe there's something else in those in that tree, but the ash borer beetle that has gotten a lot of press on the east part of the country, Baca's trees doesn't think is in New Mexico. They said there's been no reports of them in New Mexico.
well, can I just comment on Baca? It's interesting because they've never heard of how I had my tree treated either. So I'm not 100% sure on them.
So,
Do you have an ash tree, Michelle?
can you speak up, Ernie?
No, I had a apricot tree that has been attacked by the fruit boring beetle. So if you have those ornamental plum trees and you see they're not doing well, it could be they need to be treated for that. And there's stuff out at Home Depot and that, as long as you order it in well.
I don't want to change the subject, but I would like to come back around at some point, hopefully. Talk to anybody who does have some ash trees, because I'm having problems with mine and like to bounce some thoughts around.
All
So
right,
maybe we're getting
Nancy,
some conflicting information then. We're getting some conflicting information on the ash trees' health and what to do about it. Maybe
Well,
we-
you know what? I didn't realize there are different trees between Antelope Run and Ibex. So the trees I had him look at are the Centex trees.
Yeah, okay.
He didn't call them ash. He said they were pistachios. He believed maybe a certain kind of ash, but I guess it gets hard with some trees. His big word of advice to us was water, 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 at least weekly, for our trees to maintain their health and cut their stress down.
so I planted a Chinese pistachio, and it said to just give it a little bit of water for the first couple of years while it gets established. And then New Mexico's natural climate is perfect. You don't need to do anything for it after that. And these are the trees you see along the medians all throughout Albuquerque.
Mhm.
So I'm going to suggest maybe we contact a nursery. If you have somebody treating a fruit tree, there's definitely fruit tree boring beetles. And I have no expectation that they would attack some of these other non-fruit trees. But I think a nursery might be able to either give us a unbiased opinion on what to expect for what kind of pests we might have here, how to treat it, how to water it. But I do know, a lot of these trees are planted not in the open. They really have a street on one side and a sidewalk on the other. So they just get natural water from a strip.
Yeah.
And I am a little bit concerned on across the street from me on Ibex, Ken, across from your house, really. There are some trees there that are lifting up the sidewalk. They haven't really made it a trip hazard yet, but I think about the future of those trees, and I don't think it looks good for them. I don't think that there's much room for it to grow. And that's a bit concerning. At some point, we might have to take those trees out.
Yeah, well, the whole neighborhood is dealing with mature trees now and all of the problems that they cause. We have a lot of leaves. We have a lot of sidewalks being disrupted. We have a lot of our irrigation systems being disrupted by the roots of those trees, sewer lines, water lines. We've had a bunch of that on Elkhorn, and I think all through the neighborhood. It's just what happens when you plant trees. They look great the first 10 years. But
Yeah.
after that, now you're paying the price, and
Yeah.
I don't know how to solve that really.
Has anyone ever thought of going to the Botanic Garden to see if anyone there could help us out? I mean, they have to know about beetles and other issues with all trees and plants. There should be somebody there that would have knowledge.
Or the extension service should know about things in our area as well.
Yeah. Well, I got my tree recommendation off of the city's water list of recommended landscaping. So they tell you all you need to know, like the square area that it needs around it to be free. And, I think that it needs to include your neighbor's wall as well. So that's something I'm going to send out to the neighborhood as well. I ran into some neighbors down on Caribou who had just planted 3 nice skinny trees in a blank area. And I said to them that, it looks great now, but it's going to be a problem in 20 years. And they dismissed it. They were dismissive. They liked the way that it looked, and
Yes.
they kept them. And I took mine out. There was a great big weeping willow next to me that was creating a huge problem at my neighbor's. And I had a very young weeping willow in a very small area between my driveway and some other features. just begging to be taken out. And so I did that, the first year that I moved into my house. I don't regret it at all.
Yeah.
I have a big ash in my front yard, and of course I'm pretty diligent about my yard. I think most people know that. They walk by and I'm always out there. But I try to proactively notice when there's an underground root that's threatening to upheave the sidewalk. Last summer, a crack appeared in the sidewalk in front of my house, and I got on that right away. And I spotted the root. It was probably about that big around, and it was just, I think it was just starting the process of upheaving the sidewalk, and I caught it in time. But that's probably a little more effort than most people are willing to put in.
Yeah.
Was there
Right, well,
a discussion about ash trees in general that I missed? I'm sorry I was late to the meeting. I forgot about it, but was there a discussion about ash trees?
Just about the entryway trees
Okay.
and what that means for us. We've had a little bit of trouble with uplifting the sidewalk along that area, and also some of them dying. There's one that I think the whole tree is probably beyond salvage right now.
Okay, because is that where the topic about beetles and stuff like that came up?
Yeah, right.
I'm having an issue with the two ashes in my backyard. They get these, and maybe you've seen them on the ashes there over on Ibex. They get this woody growth, and it's. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen them on the ashes over there on Ibex?
I don't think so.
They haven't been. I think I've noticed them, but not in a big way. They've hit my trees really, really bad. And I mean, there's literally, if I said thousands, that would be an underestimate. It feels like it's 10,000.
Ernie, are you going to follow up with that, Ernie? Are you going to go to someone and see what you can learn about what to do about it?
Oh, I have. I've done a ton of research on it. And that's why I was curious if anybody else, that's why I was asking if anybody else had issues with ashes.
So what can you share with us? How do you address
Well,
that?
basically, so what it is, it's a woody growth, and it's probably about, I don't know, it's about like a cherry, about the size of a cherry on average. And it starts as soon as the tree starts to come out of the winter, there's these little buds or something, and there's a particular mite, forget what it's called, but it buries itself in something that's just supposed to be a natural part of the tree, and it causes it to grow abnormally into this large, I mean, it almost looks like a tumorous kind of growth. And they're green the first year, but then after the first year they die and they turn brown and woody, and then eventually they turn dark, like sort of like charcoal. And typically it takes them about 2 years to fall off the tree. But I literally have at least 10,000 of them out there, and they fall into my lawn, they fall into my rock, my gravel. And oh my gosh, it's an understatement to say they're a headache. And so
Ernie,
I did a bunch. I'm sorry.
oh,
go
sorry,
ahead.
Ernie, this is Sylvia. We have 3 ash trees in our backyard and we have the same. And I've asked Baca's trees about them and they say, well, it's a thing. It's not going to hurt the tree. It's annoying, but there's really
Right.
no way to treat it and you just have to live with it. But I know when you step on them, it's really painful.
Yeah, I mean, if I didn't clean them up, and cleaning them up from the gravel is difficult, right? Because it's just like a rock. There's no way to differentiate them. You can't rake them up or blow them like leaves. You can kind of blow them a little bit, but I did a ton of research and I did some experiments this year. And Sylvia, if you might want to touch base with me early next year to find out how how the experiments went. In the spring, I added a particular treatment that goes after this emerald ash borer that you guys were talking about. But I think I did it a little too late. And then this fall, I added a different treatment that also goes after it. And it's not labeled for this particular mite, but based on some intelligent speculation, I'm hoping it'll kill the mite before it has a chance to develop those ash galls, but we'll see next spring what happens, you know. Anyway, I only brought it up because I heard you guys talking about beetles and ash trees, and I thought, well, maybe they know something about this issue that I don't know yet. But I'll get with you next year, Sylvia, and maybe we can share some ideas.
Yeah, sounds good. I haven't treated them at all. We just live with them.
Yeah, mine have gotten really bad. I mean, they've always kind of been like that, and it was always kind of a nuisance. But man, the last couple of years, it just really accelerated. And it's ridiculous. Like I said, there's literally many thousands of them that fall over the course of a year.
Well, does anybody have any other topics that they'd like to discuss? Do we have any volunteers who are interested in serving on the board? Ken?
Yeah, I'll do the secretary.
Okay, I'll sign you up as secretary. In the formal process, Ernie just seconded it by clapping, and Dean carried the motion. So welcome to the team.
All right.
Any others? I want to thank everybody who does contribute to the neighborhood, whether officially or unofficially. We do have a number of people that are on the board or various committees, and people like, I know, Brian, you keep your house looking really nice. So it goes without saying that we appreciate it. So we'll thank everybody, and I'll move to close. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
see everyone.
Thanks all. We'll do this again in the spring unless we can meet in person.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Hopefully.
Thanks
Thanks for
all.
what you do, Alex.
Yeah, thanks, Alex.
Thank you.
Alex.
Yes.
Thank you, Alex.
And Mark.
You're welcome.